Thank you. We're watching the video, and I'm just kind of laughing to myself. You know, Gerard catches the ball, everybody's celebrating, pig pop. I didn't know how to celebrate. I looked like a dork. I'm like jogging out, looking for something to do. I don't know. I keep thinking someone's going to redub the video, and he's going to drop the ball. It's all a dream. It's over. It's done. We never won. Dan Davis, the radio announcer, is still fired up about the call. The guy, Flutie did it. He did it. He got Valen in the end zone. Yeah. Gerard did all the work, and I got all the credit. Unbelievable. It was a fun run. I'll tell you what. You look back over the years, the number of teams that I played for, and the years played, 21 years of professional football. I wouldn't change a thing. You know, I had a blast. I spent 8 years in Canada. Those years kind of put the fun back in the game for me, rebuilt my confidence, enabled me to come back and play in the NFL. But, you know, I think back to it all, and there's something inside you that drives you. And everybody, you know, I know you got Herschel Walker coming, Joe Montana, guys that are phenomenal athletes. We've all got our stories of what motivates us and what drives us. For me, I grew up as a kid in a house where we bounced from house to house because my dad couldn't pay the rent. We'd get the electricity turned off every now and then. There'd be no hot water. The phone would be disconnected because we couldn't pay the phone bill. You know, I didn't grow up a privileged kid. And I saw the way things were, and I can remember as early as 9 or 10 years old thinking, how am I going to earn a living? What am I going to do? How in the world? At the time, I think my dad made between $15,000 to $20,000 a year, and I'm wondering, boy, how in the world are you going to make that kind of money to take care of a family, to go? And I was motivated at a young age because of the situation I grew up in. My brother Bill and I would walk to school. We'd get up early. Number one, I'd get up early because I didn't know there'd be hot water. I'd boil some hot water on the stove and pour it into a tub to take a bath in the morning before school, so I wanted to make sure I was the first one to use the bath water and leave it in, right? On the way to school, my brother Bill and I would leave early, collect Coke bottles, cash them in, and that would be our lunch money for the day. You knew when your father's paycheck was coming. He'd get paid every other Friday because the last 3 days, there wasn't a lot of food in the house. My younger brother actually taught me this one of how on that Wednesday and Thursday, how to go visit a friend and have dinner at their house. Yeah, that's my brother Darren. He's pretty crafty. I was a little slow. What do you think? But these are the things that motivate you. I came up through high school and I knew I needed to be a good student. I knew that I had some athleticism and football was very important to me, and I needed a scholarship. University of New Hampshire offered me a scholarship. There were a couple other 1AA schools that were offering, but primarily I was an Ivy League style kid. I was going to go to a Harvard, a Brown. And Boston College came around late. They had a coaching change because the coach resigned. They had a coaching change. They offered 2 other quarterbacks that one decided to go to Syracuse, one decided to go to Holy Cross, and they figured, what the hell, let's offer the short kid a scholarship. And I jumped at it. All my counselors, they all wanted me to go Ivy League. It was very prestigious for that area to go to a Harvard. And I knew football was important to me. And I show up at Boston College. I'm number 9 on the depth chart, people. All right, it's not. I thought I was taking advantage of them. I really did, but I worked my way up to the number 4 spot. I only traveled with the team because I was a punt returner. The starting quarterback got injured. The other 2 guys played poorly, and I got an opportunity to play against Penn State. And I went into the game, and you know what? I had all these people telling me what I couldn't do. They told me I was too short in high school. Told me I was too short in college. I get out on the field, and you know what? It's the same darn game it's always been, people. It's the same game. You take the snap, you take your read, you throw the ball to the open guy. Hopefully he catches it, right? But, you know, it's so many times people telling you what you can't do motivates you to go out, compete, and be the best you can be. For years, I've always had to have some kind of other edge. For me, it was the mental edge of doing things a little differently, a little uniquely. You know, we practice that Hail Mary pass every Thursday in practice. Every Thursday. We caught it every week because the defense had to let us catch it because we had to get used to catching the ball. But when we stood in the huddle and called that play, there was a positive atmosphere. It was like, this is just another play. We'd run it earlier in the year against Temple at the half. I dropped back, I rolled to my right, I threw it up, and you know what? Gerard caught it for a touchdown. And we called it against Miami. Number one, we called it against Miami, and Gerard's already caught like 12 balls for 275 yards and 3 touchdowns, so why not 4, right? They line up a guy, a defensive back lines up over Gerard, and there was an inadvertent whistle, and we kind of read the line, and then the guy decides to walk out and cover Kelvin Martin, leaving Gerard uncovered, and Gerard's the first one down the field and getting deep for the touchdown, and he winds up being there. The backside tight end is supposed to be in pass protection. So after the inadvertent whistle, a little stop for there, I walk over to the tight end, I say, hey, go down the backside. I walked over and whispered to him, go down the back sideline, just release and go long, be ready for the ball. Well, I drop back, I roll to my right. I'm expecting to kind of do this, a little pump fake, turn and see if he's open, and maybe go there. If not, turn around and lob it. Well, when I rolled out, a linebacker was running at me. I never got to look backside. I throw for Gerard. People, it would have been a lot more anticlimactic to throw it to a wide open tight end all by himself on the backside. He was all by himself at about the 15-yard line. And the reason he's all by himself is because the backside corner, when I rolled right, started drifting across the field. He drifts across the field, the ball goes up, the safety's in a position to make a play. Backside corner bumps into him. Ball goes through, Gerard catches it, the rest is history. I'm a superstar because 2 DBs don't know, their way out of a paper bag and they run into each other. But, yeah, I've had the opportunity to play with some great people. Walter Payton, Tom Brady, you name it down the line. And at the end, when I'm done, we're going to field a few questions, so please have a couple in mind for when we finish. We got a little 10-minute Q&A to do as well. So, you get these opportunities to play with these guys, and to me, Tom Brady epitomized, we were just talking about it, of who I think the best quarterback in the game is. And I also said this, I believe Tom's elbow's been bugging him a little bit the last couple of years. He's not throwing a ball quite the way he was a few years ago, but this guy, to me, was an intellectual that plays quarterback. The ins and outs of the game, the things that he does on the field, checking protections, getting guys in a position to be successful. And the most amazing thing about Tom is he made everybody in the room feel like you were the reason this team is successful. You're the reason that we had a good practice. He'll walk into a training room, a guy's hurt, a guy's in the tub, he didn't even practice that day, and he'll tell him why he made Tom better that day. Or the guy on the practice field, we need a real good look at you. We need you to be inside technique. This is how they play. Do it the right way for me so we get a good look. And he remembers that at the end of the week and comes back to these guys. And the work ethic of Tom. We'll play golf. We went out and played golf. Tom Brady had been working with a new swing coach. He shot even par for 16 holes. He was hitting the ball like a pro, driving it out hard, low and hard, little draw. 17 and 18, he mishits the ball a couple of times. He double bogeys 17, he bogeys 18. He's ticked off. On the 18th green, he walks, he's on his cell phone going up to 18. He walks from the green to the practice range. His swing coach comes, meets him there, and starts working on his swing again. And that's Tom in a nutshell. You don't beat Tom at anything, and if you do, you're losing to him tomorrow because he's going to find a way to get better. As a leader, as a person that at age 43 I retired. I learned and got better being around Tom and Bill Belichick, and that experience. I wish I had had that experience earlier in my career. Bill Belichick, unique guy, a guy that is a student of the game, loves every aspect of it. He bring in the old film and show you the old single wing stuff from his father's day of playing at Navy. And I guess I'll go into this whole story. One day, Chris Berman comes to practice, and he's got to do a bunch of interviews for the guys and all that. And I had messed around for years drop kicking, and Chris Berman had seen me in my Buffalo days doing it. So Chris comes to practice one day, and he and Bill are over there whispering, and Chris and I know each other pretty well, and he's kind of chuckling and looking at me, and I didn't think much of it at the time. After practice, I'm coming in. I got to go by Coach Belichick's office. I walk by, and his secretary says, Doug, Coach wants to see you. Now, first of all, if Bill Belichick wants to see you, it's probably not a good thing. Yeah, this is like going to principal's. Ed, bring your playbook. Coach wants to see you, right? You're cut. Get the heck out of here. So I go in. I know Bill pretty well. I'm comfortable being around. I walk in. I go, what's up? He's looking at me, and I look up. There's Chris Berman standing behind him, arms folded, just beaming, big smile on his face. I go, what's up, Coach? He's like, can you drop kick? I go, yeah, I can drop kick, but there's no reason, I can do it. But he says, work on it. We're going to practice tomorrow. I said, are you serious? He goes, yeah. He goes, is it still legal? I said, I think it is. Last I checked, it was legal. There's no reason to do it. But he goes, well, we're going to find out. And then Chris comes up with this Scooter somebody. Yeah, Scooter did it back in 1941. It's been 64 years. We're going to do it. I'm like, all right, whatever. So we go to practice the next day. We kick 3. One's a low liner inside the left upright. One was hit all right, just inside the right upright. And the third hits the center right in the ass. So, I mean, this is, honestly, this is a crapshoot, all right? I did it on artificial turf in practice and didn't hit one of them solid, and the ball went over. We didn't even talk about it. We were going to do it against the New York Jets on a Monday night, 2 weeks previous, and ended up, he puts me in the game. We drive down the field. We're getting on the edge of field goal range, and the drive stalls out. We don't convert on third down. I look at Coach. He's like, it was going to be about a 44, 45 yarder. He's like, no, we're not doing it. So we forget about it completely for 2 weeks. He decides, last game of the season, meaningless game, to start Matt Castle instead of me to see what the young kid can do. So I'm already ticked off, people. I'm 43 years old. I'm standing on the sideline thinking this was going to be my last hurrah. Some young kid's out there playing, and I've been sitting here twiddling my thumbs for 3.5 hours. We're down by 14 points 5 minutes ago. I just happen to be standing next to Bill. And Bill looks, we score here, you're kicking it. I looked at it, he didn't even get the sentence out of his mouth. And we were in the end zone. We were on the 5-yard line in the middle of a play when he said it. By the time he finished the sentence, it's a touch. I go, are you serious? He goes, yeah, go get it. I rip off my jacket, and I'll take this off anyway. I rip off my jacket, I grab a ball out of an equipment guy's hand, I turn around, I kind of punch one up in the stand. I want to see if I'm going to pull a hamstring. People, I'm 43. I've been standing here for 3.5 hours. It's 25 degrees out. I got a pouch. My hands are in. So I go, you serious? Yeah, go get it. I jog out on the field. All the guys on the team know what's up, and they start smiling. My wife, who I talked about, is up in the stands with family and friends. She's the only one in the building that knows what's going on, people. All right? And she's trying to explain it. He's going to drop kick. Bullshit. What the fuck? What do you mean drop? So I go out, I line up, right? So we start doing some hand signals. I get in the shotgun, and I try to start drifting back to get deeper, to get back to the depth. Because we don't want them to know what's going on because it takes a while to kick it. And they call timeout. I go, okay, good. I don't have to do this. They call timeout. It served a purpose. They wasted a timeout. We're not going to do that. I start towards the bench. Half the team is out by the numbers, waving me out. We're doing it. I walk back, I go, I guess we're doing this, guys. Now, these guys have won Super Bowls, right? These guys are Super Bowl MVP on the sideline. These guys have been there. We're down by 7 points, 8 points right now. This doesn't mean, and they are, it's like kids at Christmas. They're smiling on their face. They're jumping up and down. They're all excited. I guess the center is Lonnie Paxson. Lonnie's about 240 pounds. He's a long snapper. He's not a center. They think we're going for 2. So Keith Traylor's in the game over his nose at 3:15. Keith's like, I'm going to knock your ass off. Lonnie's like, Doug, Keith Traylor's going to kill me up here. I said, like, what do we do? I said, Doug, just tell him to chill out. Tell him what's going on. Just chill out. Check it out. He's like, all right, whatever. And then Bam Childress is wind up. He's a rookie practice squad guy that they activated for the last game of the season, lining up at wide receiver. He's out there with Sam Madison. Madison's like, you're running the fade, aren't you? And he's like, no. Watch the slant. No. Check this out. This is going to be cool. Watch this. Right? These are the conversations that are going on, right? So Lonnie snaps the ball. Keith doesn't hit him. All right? I shift back in the gun. Lonnie snaps the ball. Keith doesn't hit him. Zach Thomas is the middle linebacker. Zach steps up. He's reading for the two-point conversion. Lonnie steps up to block. What was that? Right? Lonnie looks him straight in the eye and says, that's a drop kick, mother. It hadn't been done in 64 years. So we hit the drop kick, right? I'm fired up. Little punch. I turn around and punch. I turn around, and like I said, these guys have been in the Super Bowl the last 2 out of 3 years and done everything. They're running at me like we just won it all. We're down by 7 with 4 minutes to go. And we're celebrating on the field. Now, I beeline it for Belichick because Bill basically, allowed this to happen. It's a big moment. It's my last play of my professional career. So I'm going towards the bench, and I go over, and you might have seen it. I go over to give Bill a hug, and, Bill's not the most touchy-feely kind of guy. He's a little socially inept. So I go over to Bill, and I give him the big awkward hug from Bill and all that, high-fiving with the guys. And after the game, my wife, my daughter come down. I meet her. My daughter comes out to me, and she goes, you blew off Tom Brady on national TV. I'm like, what? Tom came out for a high five. I blew right by him, went right to Bill. So that's the dropkick story. Chris Berman to this day still takes credit for it all. He's the mastermind. Every time we see each other, we go to a lot of events together. He just really enjoys that he was involved in that. And for me, it was typical. Number one, it's typical of Bill Belichick that he found a way for me to get involved with the team. I had been the backup quarterback all year. It's Tom Brady's team. But he found a way to allow me to feel a part of the team. It was the first time all year I brought a smile to the guys' faces. He did the same thing the next year with Vinny Testaverde. Vinny was the backup quarterback, and at the end of the year he got Vinny a start. Vinny threw a touchdown pass and set a record for the most consecutive years with a touchdown. Bill has a knack for keeping everybody involved, and that's what a true leader is all about. Making everybody, finding a role for everyone, making everybody feel like they're a contributor. It was typical, like I was saying a second ago, of my career. It's one of those unique plays, like the Hail Mary. I had 2 bookend plays, the Hail Mary and the drop kick, that kind of signified my career, that I went and did things a little differently. And maybe being my size, I always had to find that angle. I always had to find a way to get it done. And Gerard always said it about me, and I said about Gerard Failing, the guy that caught the Miami pass. We never lose. We just run out of time sometimes. We're still going to fight. We're fighting to that last second. And throughout my career, I think the motivation behind it was the naysayers. There's no doubt in my mind that having people tell you that you're not capable of doing something makes you that much more driven. During the off seasons, jogging 3 to 4 miles a day, in the back of my mind, it was always there that I've got to be in better shape than anybody. I got to be able to do the conditioning run when we show up to training camp and beat these guys. And shoot, even with our years, Ed, back with New England, Irving Fryer was just an amazing athletic specimen, and we ran that, whatever it was, like a suicide up and down the field. It took like 2 minutes to run. And I slipped on the first turn and was 20 yards behind Irvin come that last 100, and I run by him. At age 43, we did a conditioning run. And I ran I felt like that was something you can, there's so many things that happen in the NFL and so many things that happen on the field that are out of your control, that I always felt you had to really take a grasp and a hold of those things you could control. And that cardio, leadership, conditioning, all that stuff, preparation for a game, that was all stuff I thought that at least this I can control. I can't always control what happens on the field on game day, but I can control this stuff. And preparation, and whether it's your job, for me it was football, for you, whether it's business or whatever, nothing beats the preparation end of it. You can't take that end lightly. What I want to do is open it up for questions, talk a little bit about the things that you want to talk about, whether it's back with the Chicago Bears. Shoot, I saw me throw a ball to Willie Gault there. I thought about that in a long time. So please field the questions. Everybody step up. Now, I was told to do a 10-minute Q&A, so we better have a couple questions. Can I still do the drop kick? Yes. And I pride myself on staying in shape, being an athlete. I still play in some adult baseball leagues and pickup basketball and everything like that. NFL Films came just last week to do the piece on the drop kick. And within it, they had old footballs, the old bladdered ball that looked more like a rugby ball, one that was a little more oval, and they wanted me kicking all the balls and showing the difference in the shape and how the game has progressed to be a passing game and all that. I got the other balls were nice and big and round, and boom, hit those through no problem. The NFL ball, I hit a couple from like 25 yards, and that was it. I mean, I actually have a little something going on with my left knee, and I couldn't plant and kick it hard, and I was getting so frustrated. I'm still the ultimate competitor, people, right? These guys were afraid I was going to break the camera when I missed a couple, but I can still do it. It's amazing. You're not as strong as you think you are, or as you used to be. Other question? Yes, in the back. Playing with Herschel Walker back in the USFL, Donald Trump. Donald Trump owned the team. He wanted to make a big splash in the USFL. He goes out and signs Heisman Trophy winner Herschel Walker. The next year, he signs Doug Flutie, Heisman Trophy winner. I got on the field, and as a rookie, the USFL was very similar to the NFL, whether it was game plan-wise, defenses you'd see, and all that. And you got to make all these checks and all these things I hadn't done before. Having Herschel back there, here you go, Hersch, take off. Over 2,000 yards rushing that year. He set the new record. I know we played an 18-game season, and it doesn't all translate to NFL records, but Herschel was a stud. Herschel, most soft-spoken, easygoing guy off the field. On the field was a beast. And I told the story backstage. We were talking. Herschel was so stiff upper body. He wore these huge shoulder pads. And you really didn't realize how fast Herschel was running. But I handed off to Herschel. The play was blocked to go off tackle. It looked good. I looked at the point of attack. It's like, lay it up in there and get you 6 to 8 yards, Herschel. Herschel bounces it outside. I'm like, oh. You know, the defensive end had contained, the outside linebacker scraping. He outran those guys. He outran them to the sideline, turned the corner, 88-yard touchdown. I guess Herschel knows what he's doing. It was like he trusted his speed. He ran a little upright and stiff, and there were a lot of things that people looked at. Because he ran so upright, it didn't always look like he was driving people and all that in his pro career, but he was an amazing tailback. He actually caught the ball a lot better than people give him credit for, because he did kind of look a little stiff, and it didn't always look smooth, but boy, he could catch the ball, and it was great to play with Herschel, especially for me as a rookie. Yes? What about Walter? Walter, he was I would say the best athlete, Walter Payton, the best athlete I've ever played football with. And I had him at the end of his career. I mean, as an individual and a leader, I came into a situation in Chicago where they had just won the Super Bowl the year before, and they had a bunch of egos on that team. A lot of the guys didn't like the fact that an outsider like me was coming in because McMahon was hurt. And Walter kind of took me under his wing a little bit and really made that transition a little easier for me. And I told a story on the radio the other day of when Walter, my first game back in the NFL was an exhibition game in Chicago playing for Buffalo. And Walter came down before the game, made a point to come in the locker room, came over, gave me a big hug in the locker room. And it just pulled so much weight and credibility and validated me being there, in front of the other guys. When they saw that, they realized, I'd been there before. I hadn't just been playing up in Canada for a while and all that. So Walter did a few things along the way that really meant a lot to me. On the field, he could throw the ball like a quarterback. He ran like a tailback. He blocked like a fullback, run routes like a wide receiver. You name it, he did it. He was amazing. He was the most athletic person I've ever played with.
Doug, what do you think about the prospects of an 18-game NFL season?
18-game NFL season, the players will hate it, the owners will love it. More money, more money, more money. And it's tough. It's tough for guys to stay healthy for 16, I think back in our day, we played 6 exhibition games. And they cut that down. They figure, okay, let's just add games to the schedule. Go 16, go 18. I figure they think they got a good thing, and let's make it better. But I'm telling you right now, you've seen how many quarterbacks go down recently. You know, the guys can't last that long, and you got to get through a play. When you start talking playoffs, it's a big difference. 16 to 18 is a huge difference. We played it in the USFL, and I went from a college football season playing a bowl game right out of that into a spring season of 18 games and then playoffs, and that made for a ridiculously long season. But 18 is tough. It's tough. The injuries are going to go way up because with fatigue comes more injuries.
Yes, because we all love football the way that it is, but with the head injury going from young kids all the way on up, do you see it changing the sport at all?
It's definitely changed the sport. Talking about head injuries. The fact that defensive backs can't just flat out lay out a receiver when they get the shot. The head shots are penalized. The problem is defensive players have a certain mentality. They've had it all their lives, and they don't want to change, and they'll take the 15-yard penalty. You know, if a DB has a chance, and I hate to say, if DB has a chance to lay out a receiver, he's going to do it. If a defensive end coming around the corner has a shot to take a hard shot and drive a quarterback to the ground and have an opportunity to put a guy like a Tom Brady or Peyton Manning out of the game and have a better chance to win, they do it. And that's the mentality that's got to change, is the player's mentality. You know, you can put in all the rules you want, but you still see all these shots. And then sometimes, because it's such a violent game and things happen so fast, you're going to get those head shots anyway. You know, guys are flying in there and they came up and they hit him in the shoulder and slid up and got a piece. And there's got to be some judgment on an official's part. I mean, we've seen some head taps from defensive ends on quarterbacks, and all of a sudden there's a 15-yard penalty. And you know, it's got to be subjective and let the officials say, hey, was that a violent hit or not, or was it just that he happened to catch him in the head a little bit? My hardest hit, believe it or not, was not in the NFL. I'm sorry to say. Hardest hit in the NFL was I was trying to throw a Hail Mary for the Patriots. We were playing up in Buffalo, and I rolled to the right and got all the way to the sideline, buying time. I was going to air it out, and I mean, I was full extension when Bruce Smith had been chasing me the whole way. Slammed me in the back and drove me to the ground, and I actually held on to the ball. I didn't get the throw off, and I tucked it back in and fell. It was 12 years later, when I came back to Buffalo to play for Buffalo, one of the first things Bruce Smith said to me, comes up to me, he says, hey, Doug, thanks for holding on to that ball. It counted as a sack because you held on to it. If I had fumbled, it wouldn't have counted as a sack at the time. But the hardest hit I ever had, I was playing for British Columbia Lions against Winnipeg up in Winnipeg. And it was a wet field, and I dropped back to pass. Things opened up a little. I started to run. A linebacker was coming out. I went to shake him, and I slipped. He just hit me square, put his nose in my chest, wrapped me up, and was going to drive me back. He drives me back, and I reach for the ground to fall, and as I turned, the other linebacker was coming this way, put his head down, split my face mask, and, I mean, it was lights out. I stand up, I'm groggy, and I was calling my own plays at the time. It was up there, you have 3 downs instead of 4, so it's second now and long, and I never call running play anyway. But we've got to convert here on second down and probably 12 or whatever it is. I get in the huddle, and I hold on to the center to keep my stability. And then we had a choir huddle, line of scrimmage back there. I'm facing the guys, and I'm holding on to the center, keep trying to clear my head. And I just called a simple running play off tackle to the right. On one, ready, break. They all leave me. I got to turn around and walk the line, and I'm like wobbling. It's like, you know, the drunk guy being tested on the side of the road. And I got to the center, held on, handed the ball off, and went straight to the sideline. But got the face mask changed, and you're back out there in the next series because, you know, it's just the way we were taught. You know, now you're out for 8 days. It's a concussion test and all that. Back then, if you could walk, you play. Can I identify with Tim Tebow? You know, I can because he's got a unique way of getting it done. He's a tough kid. I'll take Tim Tebow on my team any day. Is he a Super Bowl champion quarterback? I don't know. Not right now. He's not that caliber. You've got to be that caliber thrower to get it done. But he proved in Denver he could take a mediocre team and find a way to win. Something similar I did with Ed back in New England was all of a sudden when I went in at quarterback, the team around you played a little better. We ran the ball better. We didn't throw for a lot of yards. It wasn't flashy, but the coaches still want the guy in there that's throwing for 300 a game. So you find a way to get it done, and Tim's done that all his life. I didn't like the situation with the Jets. I don't like having one quarterback in there and the other one coming in, and that ruins the confidence of the guy that's playing initially, and it's unfair to the guy coming in for a play here or a play there. It just doesn't work. But you got to figure a guy with his work ethic, his athleticism, there's got to be a way for him to help a team in some aspect. And coaches have been searching for that for a few years. And it amazes me. I think you got to get him out of the weight room a little bit and let him loosen up that shoulder joint and throw the football the way he potentially could. He has to improve in that area.
What's your all-time favorite breakfast cereal?
All-time favorite? Loaded question there, isn't it, people? Probably, yes, Flutie Flakes. There you go. The amazing thing about that was, initially, that was just a marketing thing that they came to me during the offseason. I had signed with Buffalo. I'm coming out of the CFL, and it was a way to put a little extra cash in my pocket, right? And I said, well, they said, what do you want to do? I said, how about a frozen pizza? And they're like, all right, sure. They came back and said, you know what, the profit margin's a little better on a cereal. How about a breakfast cereal? I go, well, I love Frosted Flakes. I go, okay, done deal. We're going to do something. And those actually were a thicker, crunchier flake. And trust me, I loved them, but I got tired of them in a hurry. And my wife loved them straight out of the box without the breakfast. It was more like a snack. But that was amazing. We sold millions of boxes. We raised close to $2.5 million at least towards the foundation. The final number was near $3 million. And it was a way that kickstarted the foundation. Like initially, it was just a marketing deal for me. So then we go to the grocery stores to get the distribution. And they said, if we put this towards charity, it'll be easier to sell, blah, blah. I said, fine. We started our foundation. We'll put it towards the foundation. I'll put a percentage. They'll go, well, you just put a small percentage towards the foundation and we'll match it. I'm like, fine, that makes sense. Okay, fine. And when they came back to me, I said, you know what? 100% of my stuff is going to the foundation. They're like, well, yeah. So they never matched it. They didn't put a dime in, and it was all the money that could have been sitting in my pocket that we put towards the foundation on their whim. But it was a great way to kickstart. I mean, that was a perfect storm as far as all that came about, because it was supposed to come out at the beginning of the season, but I was a backup quarterback, and they just happened to be late getting it going. It was like a month and a half late. It was week 4 or 5 that I took over as the starter, and sure enough, it timed up with when the cereal came out, and everything just exploded. And it was a fun time. It was a fun time to be a quarterback in the NFL. It was an opportunity to come back and reprove myself, kind of validate my career. Went to a Pro Bowl that year and led the team to the playoffs. So it was a fun run. Like I said, 21 years, been a blast. I wouldn't change a thing. And thank you for the opportunity to speak to you and tell you a few of the stories. Appreciate it.